I sold the family business that my parents left me instead of letting my lazy brothers co-manage it with me. They're now sending flying monkeys to guilt-trip me about destroying Dad's legacy. I, 34F, need to get this off my chest. My parents built a successful restaurant chain from the ground up, starting with a single location when I was just a kid. It wasn't just a business to them, it was their American dream story. Dad immigrated here with just $200 in his pocket and a handful of family recipes. Mom was working as a waitress when they met, and she had this incredible head for numbers and organization. Together, they were unstoppable. They started with a tiny hole-in-the-wall place that barely seated 20 people. I still remember the smell of Mom's fresh-baked bread and Dad singing in the kitchen while he cooked. I literally grew up in these restaurants. Some of my earliest memories are of sitting on a milk crate in the kitchen, watching Dad work his magic on the line. By age 6, I was helping Mom count the register after closing. She made it into a math game. Throughout elementary school, I did my homework in the back office, learning more about business from overhearing their conversations than I ever did in school. My brothers, Marcus, 38M, and James, 36M, took a different approach from the start. They viewed the restaurant as their personal cafeteria and ATM, nothing more. I remember one incident when I was 12, I was learning how to prep vegetables, and Marcus, then 16, came in demanding money for the movies. When Dad said he'd have to work a shift first, Marcus threw a fit and stormed out, knocking over a whole container of prepped onions I'd spend an hour chopping. Dad made him come back and clean it up, but he never made Marcus actually work a shift. That was the pattern. They'd act out, face minimal consequences, and continue treating the business like their personal piggy bank. By my teens, I was working every position possible. Dishwasher? Did it for 6 months and learned every cleaning protocol by heart. Host? Managed the weekend rush while keeping a smile. Server? Worked my way up to head trainer. Line cook? Could run every station blindfolded. Dad used to joke that I had restaurant sauce in my veins instead of blood. Meanwhile, James would show up in his new car, bought with Mom and Dad's money, to grab free meals for his friends, often during our busiest times. He'd bypass the line, walk straight into the kitchen, and start grabbing food, disrupting the whole flow of service. When I tried to tell him to at least call ahead, he'd say, "Chill out, little sis, it's a family business." The contrast became even starker in college. I double majored in business administration and hospitality management, taking extra courses in restaurant operations and food service management. Every break, I was back at the restaurants, learning the corporate side from Mom and the culinary side from Dad. They'd expanded to 5 locations by then, and I was fascinated by the logistics of maintaining quality across multiple restaurants. Marcus spent 6 years switching majors, engineering, dropped after 1 semester, psychology, made it to year 2, business, lasted 3 weeks, and finally taking a break to find himself, which turned into a permanent vacation. James actually managed to get a degree in communications, but only after our parents hired him 3 different tutors and made substantial donations to the university. One conversation from this period sticks with me. I was 20, going over the books with Mom late one night. She looked tired. They were in the middle of opening location number 6, and the stress was showing. I asked her why they never pushed my brothers to take more responsibility. She sighed and said, "Honey, your father and I learned early on that you can't force passion. You either feel it here," she pointed to her heart, "or you don't. Your brothers. They see the fruits of success, but they don't understand the roots that feed the tree." Dad was more direct. After a particularly busy Saturday when I'd pulled a double shift because 2 servers called out, he sat me down and said, "Iha, your brothers were born in the destination. You understand the journey. That's why you'll be the one to carry this forward." I didn't fully understand what he meant until years later. After college, while my brothers were still finding themselves, Marcus through a series of failed get-rich-quick schemes, James by trying to become a social media influencer, I worked my way up through the corporate structure. Started as an assistant manager at our newest location, then general manager, then district manager, and finally COO by the time I was 29. Every promotion was earned. Dad was actually harder on me than on any other employee, wanting to make sure nobody could claim nepotism. The business grew to 12 locations under my oversight as COO. We maintained quality by developing solid systems and fostering a culture of excellence. Dad's original recipes were carefully documented and standardized, but we also encouraged creativity from our chefs within established parameters. Mom's organizational systems were digitized and improved. We had one of the lowest turnover rates in the industry because we treated our staff like family, real family, not the way my brothers treated family. Dad passed away 5 years ago, heart attack in the kitchen of our original location. He died doing what he loved, but it was still devastating. Mom tried to keep going, but anyone could see the light had gone out of her eyes. She passed 2 years later, officially from pneumonia, but I think she really died of a broken heart. The final version of There was a shock to everyone, especially my brothers. I got 60% ownership and the CEO position, with my brothers each getting 20%. The lawyer explained that this had been updated just a month before Dad's death. He showed us a letter Dad had written explaining his decision. To my children. A legacy is not a gift, it's a responsibility. I've watched all of you grow, and I've seen who treats this business as a calling and who treats it as a convenience. My name, you've shown that you understand what your mother and I built this for, not just profit but purpose. To create opportunities, to serve our community, to give people not just meals but moments of joy. Marcus, James, you're my sons and I love you, but love means being honest. You've never shown real interest in learning the business beyond what it could give you. Your shares are your inheritance, but the leadership must go to someone who has proven they can carry the weight of our family's dream. My decision may seem unfair now, but a captain can't steer a ship based on what's fair to the crew, they must choose what's best for the journey ahead. With love and hope. Dad. I tried so hard to make it work with them after that. The first board meeting as CEO, I came prepared with detailed roles for both of them that would let them learn the business from the ground up. Marcus seemed interested for about 5 minutes, until he realized that co-CEO wasn't actually a real position and he'd have to start by learning operations. This is bullshit, he said, throwing the proposal across the table. I'm the oldest. Dad was just manipulated at the end. You've always been the perfect one, teacher's pet, daddy's little girl. Now you want us to be your employees? James was worse in some ways. He'd pretend to agree, then undermine everything behind my back. He hired his college roommate as a menu consultant without approval, giving him access to our proprietary recipes. The guy turned out to be working for a competitor. When I confronted James, he shrugged it off. Chill, sis, we're all family here. Pete would never steal from us. Narrator, Pete absolutely tried to steal from us. Over the next 3 years, they showed up to board meetings unprepared and spent the time on their phones, making loud sighs whenever anyone discussed actual business. Tried to vote through ridiculous proposals like turning our most profitable location into a sports bar/nightclub concept because Marcus's gym buddy said it would be totally sick. Attempted to hire their equally unqualified friends for senior positions, including James trying to make his girlfriend, a former yoga instructor. Our CFO constantly complained about the quarterly dividend payments not being larger, despite them being more generous than industry standard. Leaked confidential business information to competitors while trying to show off at bars. Started spreading rumors among the staff that I was destroying Dad's vision by maintaining basic professional standards. Tried to expense personal vacations as market research. Held unauthorized tastings for their friends after hours, leaving the kitchens a mess. Borrowed money from suppliers, damaging our relationships. Showed up drunk to investor meetings. Tried to trademark our family name separately from the business to protect the legacy. The final straw came during our annual leadership retreat. I had organized a week-long strategic planning session with all our general managers. Marcus and James showed up late to the first session, hungover and wearing matching co-CEO and training shirts they'd had made. During my presentation about our 5-year expansion plan, they interrupted repeatedly with their own vision, a complete departure from our family-style restaurants into some kind of fusion nightclub concept. When our most experienced GM tried to explain why this wouldn't work with our brand, James accused her of lacking innovation and Marcus suggested we fire all the old people who don't get modern business. That night, they tried to organize an emergency board vote to remove me as CEO. They convinced themselves that their combined 40% plus a couple of sympathetic board members would be enough. They failed spectacularly, Turns out our board members, many of whom had worked with Dad for decades, weren't impressed by their business acumen. The attempt destroyed what little trust remained between us. More importantly, it showed me that the business itself was at risk as long as they had any control. Their next attempt might succeed, or they might find some other way to run things into the ground. That's when I received an offer from Rivera Restaurant Group, a respected company known for preserving the character of family restaurants they acquire. They had been watching our success and approached me with a proposal that would ensure the restaurant's future while respecting our parents' legacy. After 2 months of careful due diligence and consultation with our management team, I accepted their offer to purchase the entire chain. The sale price was significantly above market value, enough that my brothers each received more money than they'd ever earn in their lives if they invested it wisely. Instead of being grateful for the windfall, they're furious. The day after the sale was announced, Marcus showed up at my house at 7 a.m., pounding on the door and screaming about betrayal. When I opened the door, stupid, I know, he was red-faced and shaking. "You think you're so smart?" he yelled. "You think this is what Dad wanted? To sell his life's work to some corporation?" I tried to explain about Rivera's track record, about the guarantees for our employees, about how the restaurants would keep their character while gaining resources to grow. He wasn't listening. "You know what you are?" he spat. "You're not a businesswoman. You're a traitor. A fucking traitor to this family." That was rich, coming from someone who'd never worked a day in the business. But before I could respond, he stormed off, only to start a campaign of harassment through every possible channel. "They've been telling everyone who will listen that I sold out Dad's dream and destroyed the family legacy. They've gotten our aunts, uncles, and family friends to bombard me with messages about how disappointed our parents would be. Aunt Maria, who hasn't set foot in any of our restaurants in a decade, called me crying about how your father built this with his own hands. My cousin Ryan, who used to work for us but quit because Marcus kept trying to boss him around, sent me screenshots of the group chat where my brothers were coordinating their guilt campaign. They were explicitly trying to make her life hell until she regrets what she did. Here's the thing they don't understand: Dad's legacy wasn't the restaurants themselves. His legacy was creating something of value through hard work, dedication, and treating people right. The new owners share our values and have kept on all our staff, with better benefits, actually. They're expanding thoughtfully while maintaining the quality and atmosphere that made us successful. The money from the sale has been invested in new ventures that truly honor our parents' memory. 1. I'm starting a restaurant consulting firm specifically focused on helping family-owned restaurants succeed and navigate generational transitions. We're already working with several businesses facing similar challenges to what we experienced. 2. I've established a scholarship fund in our parents' names that will help children of restaurant workers attend culinary school or get business degrees. Mom and Dad helped so many of our employees' kids with informal assistance over the years. Now it's a formal program that will help hundreds. 3. Part of the proceeds went to creating a food innovation lab at the local community college, where aspiring chefs can experiment and learn. Dad always said the kitchen was the best classroom. Now others will have that opportunity. 4. We've set up a microloan program for restaurant workers wanting to start their own businesses, offering both capital and mentorship. Mom was always helping employees figure out their finances. This continues that tradition. But according to my brothers, none of that matters because the family doesn't own the original restaurants anymore. Never mind that they never actually worked in those restaurants. Never mind that their only contribution was showing up for free meals and causing problems. Never mind that they now have more money than they've ever earned. The harassment campaign has been intense. Just in the past month, they showed up drunk to my charity foundation launch event and had to be escorted out. James tried to trademark our family name for his own restaurant venture, denied because of prior usage. Marcus attempted to get our oldest employees to sign a letter condemning my decision. They refused. They've been posting old family photos with captions about betrayal. Several distant relatives I haven't spoken to in years have called to tell me I'm dead to the family. They tried to get a local newspaper to run a hit piece. The reporter contacted me, heard the full story, and declined to write it. Some extended family members are telling me I should have found a way to make it work with my brothers. But after 3 years of trying to protect the business from their interference while running it successfully, I know I made the right choice. The staff is happy, the restaurants are thriving under new ownership, and I'm free to honor our parents' legacy in my own way. My brothers still won't speak to me directly, they just send hostile messages through others or post passive-aggressive comments on social media. Part of me feels guilty about selling without trying one last time to make it work with them, but another part feels like I protected the business from their mismanagement and gave them more money than they ever earned. Update, 2 months later. The response to this post has been overwhelming, and I wanted to share some developments. 1. My brother's tune changed dramatically when they realized just how much money they'd received from the sale. Marcus called me last week, not to apologize, but to ask for advice on investing his share. Apparently, he's already spent a concerning amount on a new house and several luxury cars. When I suggested he speak with a financial advisor, he said, "I don't need some stranger telling me what to do with my money." 2 days later, he bought a boat. 2. James tried to start his own restaurant, using his share of the sale money, to show everyone how it should be done. He ignored all advice about location, market research, and proper capitalization. He insisted on calling it our family name's authentic experience despite my lawyers warning him about trademark issues. His concept was a confused mix of our parents' traditional cuisine and whatever food trends he'd seen on TikTok. He hired his social media influencer friends instead of experienced staff. It closed after 3 months, having never turned a profit. Now he's telling everyone that I sabotaged him by not sharing our parents' secret recipes, which were actually developed and standardized by our professional kitchen staff over years. 3. The new owners have been true to their word. Not only have they kept all the staff, but they've also implemented better healthcare coverage and a tuition assistance program. Several of our long-term employees have reached out to thank me, saying the workplace culture has actually improved. Our old head chef called me specifically to say, "Your dad would be proud, you found people who care about food and family as much as he did." 4. The Scholarship Fund has awarded its first round of grants to culinary students. We focused on first-generation college students and children of restaurant workers. One recipient was the daughter of our very first employee, who cried when she received the news. She said, "Your mom used to help me with my math homework. Now I'm going to business school because of her. Mom would have loved that." 5. My consulting firm is taking off. We're helping several family-owned restaurants modernize their operations while maintaining their unique character. One client told me, "You helped us do what your parents did, turn a family passion into a sustainable business." We've already prevented 3 family restaurants from closing by mediating similar sibling disputes and implementing proper management systems. 6. An unexpected development. Our oldest location's longtime customers have actually reported improved consistency in the food. Turns out having proper corporate systems and quality control doesn't destroy authenticity, it preserves it. The new owners even found and restored Dad's original handwritten recipes, which are now framed in the restaurants. 7. An unexpected development. Our oldest location's longtime customers have actually reported improved consistency in the food. The new owners even found and restored Dad's original handwritten recipes, which are now framed in the restaurant's entrance alongside a beautiful tribute to my parents' story. The flying monkeys have mostly stopped now that the dust has settled. Even Aunt Maria called to apologize, saying she'd visited one of the restaurants and it still feels like home. A few family members have quietly admitted they didn't understand the full situation. Others remain cold, but I've made peace with that. Final update, 6 months later. Marcus finally agreed to work with a financial advisor after nearly depleting his share. He's not speaking to me, but he's at least stopped actively trying to damage my reputation. James's second restaurant attempt, a food truck this time, also failed, but he's actually taken a job as a server at another restaurant to learn the business from the ground up, exactly what I suggested years ago. The scholarship fund has expanded to 3 states and will help 50 students this year. I found Mom's old notebook with her handwritten business advice. We're publishing it as a guide for family restaurants, with proceeds going to the scholarship fund. I've realized something important. Sometimes preserving a legacy means letting go of the original form it took. Dad always said, "A business is only as good as the people running it." By ensuring the restaurants went to capable hands and using the proceeds to help others succeed, I think I've honored their dream in the best way possible.